pitting up 6 strikers against each other and to see who can come out on top. So we've got a little scoring system from goal scoring, creation, pressures, aerials, dribbling, and then age and value as well. So let's start off. We've got some graphs to bring you as well. The first one...
Who are the 6 strikers?
They'll find out who the 6 strikers are.
They'll find out, okay. They'll find out.
So we're going to look at... So basically the way it's going to work is we're going to mark them from 1 to 6, and then we're going to add up all the tallies at the end, and whoever the highest value is will win. First one, what we're going to look at is dribbles. So these are the 6 strikers, as you can see: Guirassy, Balogun, Mateta, Jackson, Marmoush, and Mikitadze. And it looks as though, for dribbling, Mikitadze comes out on top.
So just to give the people what they're seeing, the y-axis is successful dribbles on the left, and the x-axis along the bottom is dribble attempts. So, you know, the further top right, that's the, you know, they're doing more successful and dribble attempts. Obviously, bottom left, they're not very good dribblers, and all the people in between. But that's what you're looking at the moment. But as you can see, the best dribblers, yeah, as you say, Mikitadze and Marmoush. This is all for last season, by the way, 25-26. When it comes to Jackson, he's not bad with how many dribbles he attempts, but his dribbling successful, not great. Guirassy is not a very good dribbler. It seems he prefers not to do that. He doesn't attempt many, and he's not very successful when he does either. Mateta is not very successful, but he attempts a bit more than Guirassy and Balogun. Balogun doesn't attempt that many, but he's not a terrible dribbler when he does attempt, you would have to say.
So, judging by the first ranking, Mikitadze is at the top with 6 points. Marmoush is second with 5 points. Jackson is third with 4 points.
Well, it depends what you want, because Balogun is a better dribbler, but he dribbles less than Jackson. So, do you want somebody who dribbles more or is just more successful? That's the question, because Balogun, you might say, is better.
Yeah, I guess you do want the more successful rate then. So we'll go for Balogun. Balogun will be on 4 points. And then I guess Mateta. Or Jackson.
No, Jackson's are above Mateta in both. So you go Jackson.
Jackson with 3 points. Mateta with 2 points. And Guirassy with 1 point.
Yes.
So Mikitadze in the lead there through the dribbling. Next up, we're going to be looking at, what's this one? Aerials. So this is aerial duels. Guirassy well on top here.
Yeah, so the y-axis on the left is the percentage of aerial duels won. The x-axis is how many duels they've won overall per 90. That's how many duels they win. So
Jackson is second.
So Jackson's second, but he wins less. So he kind of goes for less. But when he does go for it, he has a really good record of his percentage of winning it.
Mateta will be third.
Mateta's third. Yeah, Guirassy's well out clear.
And the other ones are not that great.
Yeah, Balogun is not particularly good aerially. And then probably that is Marmoush just ahead of Mikitadze. But they're both pretty even. Pretty bad aerially.
So Marmoush 2 points, Mikitadze 1 point. So what we've got here is Guirassy gets 6 points, so he's on 7 points. Mikitadze is on 7 points because he's got 1 point from aerials and 6 points from dribbling. What an interesting one is Jackson. Jackson's actually on 8 points now. So I think Jackson's in the lead alongside Balogun. Balogun's on 8 points as well. So very interesting.
Yeah, this is obviously just to caveat, this is Jackson last season, where he only had 1,000 minutes for Bayern Munich, but he did start 12 games, so it's not completely unmeaningful. You still get per 90 numbers. But look, Jackson always performs well in the data, doesn't he?
Next up, we're going to be looking at pressures and defensive actions. So what are we looking at here?
The y-axis here is how many pressures the player does, and the x-axis is defensive actions, which is like tackles, interceptions, blocks, all that kind of stuff, how often they do that. So this is obviously per 90. So in terms of pressures, you're looking at, Marmoush and Balogun are near the top. And as well, when it comes, defense, it's a pretty consistent trend, pressures and defensive actions,
So
it looks
say
like.
Marmoush 6 points.
Balogun 5.
Balogun 5 points. And then it's Mateta 4 points.
Mikatadze,
3 points.
Garassi, and then Jackson last.
Garassi 2 points and Jackson 1 point. That's interesting because I thought Jackson was a very good presser.
Yeah, I think you got to take into context. Maybe he's coming on as a sub. A lot of games. Playing for Bayern Munich is the lead to do the defensive actions. Maybe a lot less because they're having so much of the ball. So maybe that's got to be taken into account as well when it comes to Jackson on that particular graph.
So next up, we'll look at creation. I think is this creation?
Yeah. So this is key. So on the y-axis is the amount of assists they got, and on the x-axis along the bottom is how many chances they create, the key passes per 90. So Jackson, the weird thing with him is he's actually probably top for key passes, so chances created, but he didn't get any assists, so no one actually finished his chances. So Marmoush got slightly less key passes, but he actually got bigger number of assists per 90. So when it comes to creating, I guess you probably have like Marmoush as the most creative, maybe Mikatadze second, and then you have Jackson because he actually creates a lot more key passes than everyone else, even though he didn't get any assists. He creates a lot more chances.
And then after that, you'd have Balogun, Garassi, then Mateta.
Yeah. Balogun is actually not terrible. Quite a decent number of key passes, and assist numbers not amazing, but not terrible. Garassi quite low. Then Mateta basically doesn't create a chance and didn't get any assists. Yeah. So very, very low.
Really just a fox in the box, Mateta. And then we look at goal scoring. So what do these goal scoring charts tell us?
So the y-axis is their non-penalty XG per 90. So how much XG basically they're getting per 90 without penalties. And then on the y-axis is how many goals they're scoring. So basically how many players are outperforming their XG. As you can see, Jackson right at the very top right, he's getting the most XG and goals per 90. You then got Mikatadze, probably Garassi actually just ahead of him. He's got a few more goals, but he's getting a few bit less XG than Mikatadze. Mikatadze right up there, also outperforming his expected goals in a good place. Balogun in a good position as well, probably fourth there with decent number. This is compared to forwards in top 5 European leagues. So Balogun in a decent position. Marmoush, you probably have. It depends what you. So Mateta gets more chances per game, but Marmoush is scoring more goals.
So Marmoush is more clinical.
Marmoush is a bit more clinical.
So we'll put Mateta.
And then Mateta's probably last there. He gets more XG than Balogun, but Balogun is a lot more clinical than him.
So on the face of things, before knowing all the tallies, who do you think is the striker that wins this?
I would guess in the data, probably maybe Jackson wins it, and then Mikatadze second. I would say that would be my prediction. Or Mikatadze first and Jackson second, and then I would say maybe Balogun third, then Marmoush, then Garassi, then Mateta.
All right. Well, let's have a look. So the coming in at bottom is Mikatadze.
Really?
That's what it says here. Coming in at bottom. No, sorry. It didn't put them in order. Coming in at bottom is Mateta.
There you go.
With 12 points. Coming in at 5th is Garassi with 16 points. And then we've got a joint on 18. No, there's just one on 18, which is Balogun.
Mm-hmm.
And then a joint second on Mikatadze and Jackson on 19 points. And the clear winner is Omar Marmoush. On 21 points.
Although his data is probably the least reliable because it was only based on 600 minutes.
And also he played out on left wing.
And he played left wing.
Well.
So you got to caveat that. But we all know Marmoush is a top player. We all know he's a top player. We all know how good he was at Frankfurt. And I think that when he has played for City, he does get goals and assists. Even last season, he got 6 goals and assists in 600 minutes. So he was still providing like really good numbers over the course of it. I was just looking at just overall their numbers, like in terms of goals and assists per 90 last season. You got Jackson and Mikitadze out ahead at 0.8 goal contributions per 90. Then you've got Marmoush at 0.77 with only 700 minutes. Then Balogun at 0.68. Guirassy 0.69. Then Balogun 0.68. And then bottom is Mateta at 0.49. So all pretty strong options. All players over what you apart from Mateta, all of them over the 0.5, which is 1 every 2 games you get in goal contribution, which is a pretty good record. But Mikitadze and Jackson outright at the top there. Just that's pure numbers, goals and assists.
It's really interesting that when you actually kind of pit them up against each other in terms of these stats and using this scoring system. Because I would have said, out of all these strikers, Omar Mamouche is probably at the top of my list, and he's ended up top. Would you have agreed? Would Omar Mamouche be at the top of your list?
Yeah.
Jackson as well, I've looked at a very positive light. Mikitadze, Balogun, I've not been that convinced about, just because maybe I haven't watched them maybe as much as the others. But Mateta and Guirassy was one that I desperately wanted at the start of the window. I don't think this changes my opinion that much, but with Guirassy, I think he's a guarantee of goals. That's what he is, from what he's shown in his career anyway.
Yeah, the only thing is he's 30 now, so obviously he could be declining. But he's been phenomenal over the last. Well, you say over his career, it's only in the past 2 years,
2-3 years, yeah.
So he's in great way. Obviously, in the Bundesliga, he's at home there. He does well in the Champions League as well. I'm not saying he's a bad striker by any stretch. I would go for him, but I'd say he's a guarantee. I think it's a bit of a stretch. I think to be honest, Marmoush, Jackson, Mikitadze, Balogun, Guirassy, less so Mateta, but I think the other 5, I would be happy to sign any of them. I think they're all really good options. I think it's quite close, to be honest, between them. I think for me, Mikitadze and Marmoush are the best footballers on that list by far. They're the best players, but what we saw on the charts and stuff is they lack the aerial duels and stuff, and maybe the bit defensively they're not as good. Although Marmoush was quite high, but again, I think that's 600 minutes. You've got to take that into account. So I think you'd lose that physical element, but when it comes to technical ability and stuff, they're by far the best. So I really think in a De Zerbi system, I would love those 2 in the forward line. I think Balogun and Jackson and Guirassy probably balance a bit more physicality, maybe a bit less technical ability, but also not bad technical ability, like to a good level. And then you've got Mateta, who's really good physically, but technically, I think lacking behind the rest, in my opinion. Albeit he's a brute and a good striker and a tough player to face, but I think he's lacking behind the rest technically. So, yeah, it's a really interesting list. I don't think any of those players are unrealistic. I think Tottenham Spurs, could sign any of those players if we really wanted to.
I think Omar Mamouche obviously has crazy. I mean, he's got massive wages, doesn't he? I think
he'll be the hardest to get
week,
probably.
So. But the Enzo Maresca did speak about him, didn't he, after the last friendly, and it did sound like from what he was saying that he could be on his way out. And you're thinking if he is on his way out and he wants those guaranteed minutes, where else is he going to get as high wages as at Tottenham right now?
Liverpool? Would they sell to
Maybe
Liverpool?
But is he even going to want, with Liverpool, he's got to fight against Isaac and maybe even Bradley Barcola on the left-hand side. At Tottenham, he's a guaranteed starter.
Yeah, I mean, if he's looking to play in the number 9, trying to think, unless, obviously not going to go to one of the big 2 in Barca and Madrid. I can't see anyone in Italy affording him. In terms of big 6 clubs, can't see him selling to United, obviously, for obvious reasons. You got Liverpool. I mean, Chelsea, maybe battling with João Pedro. But I think there's maybe a space there for him. Maybe they may pay.
So they've got João Pedro and Danny Welbeck now. I don't think they're going to bring in another striker.
But it's mad to think you're saying they wouldn't want a Marmoush because they
I
got
know,
Welbeck.
but they've made their move.
It's true. But maybe if they decide they're interested, but I don't think they will be, I agree. Who else in the Big Six that I've missed? Then there's us. Yeah, that's it.
I think
So we're the only Big Six team, yeah.
I think Spurs are the biggest candidate for him, and yeah.
Unless Villa or Newcastle stump up the cash, but I can't see that happening.
I don't think it's wages that it's beyond Spurs. I think we can offer him the same wages that he's on. You know, looking at what we're paying players now. You know, if we get Champions League football, Tonali's going to be on a similar wage to that. So it's not like something that we're alien to going to now.
I guess the question is, should he be our highest paid player?
Depends how much De Zerbi rates him. If he thinks that he can be our number 9 for the foreseeable future, and he can be that bagsman that we want in the number 9 and contribute in the ways that we say that he can contribute, then yeah, I think we should. You know, it's very hard to find that position now. So we should be trying to go and get the best available, and he might be the best available.
I would do it. I think from the club's perspective, a player who obviously had a brilliant time at Frankfurt, has shown what he's capable of in the Premier League, but obviously hasn't smashed out in the Premier League, but he's been good. Should we be spending 80 million and then also maybe 300 grand a week as a player who, are we sure he could be our number? Are we certain 100% he could be our number 9 for the season? That's the question they got to ask themselves. There are other players who we know definitely are number 9s and physically there, and it would be cheaper, so maybe less risk. But I, for one, to dare us to do, go for it.
All right, well, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Out of those 6 players, which one would you like to see at Tottenham Hotspur? Has the stats and the data provided swayed your opinion at all? But in the metrics that we've given, Omar Marmoush is the winner in the mini competition that we have done. So do let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.